Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
Oh, yeah. We'll have Mike Vrabel live when he starts up at, I think, about 12:45 or so. He's been pretty prompt.
On his birthday today.
On his birthday.
50th birthday.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was a Leo until last night, but that's great news for us.
Why? If things start to click.
We have weapons.
All of a sudden, yeah.
Weapons.
You've got what Paul considers weapons.
Yes.
People are very friendly here. Just everywhere you walk in. Welcome back. Great to see you. Like, are you sure?
Where is Evan?
Oh, he's down yonder somewhere.
So he can do Clintus and everybody else, but he can't do this? There is no legitimacy to astrology. It's a gateway drug to conspiracy theories. So
I don't believe that.
I see your eyebrow. She's getting mad.
I don't know. There's an interesting rabbit hole.
Anyway, John says
that intersects Christianity and astrology. And the Venn diagram where those two things meet, it's just a fascinating rabbit hole. There you go. So right on the verge of Leo.
I'm on the verge of tears.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Tuesday here at Gillette Stadium. It's me and Paul. Evan and Deuce will be here shortly. They're finishing up their team assignments. But we got a lot to talk about. We'll talk about the preseason game that we saw and the star of that game, obviously.
I'm going to need more information.
Oh, you know who it is.
I don't. I didn't see it.
One Efton Chisum.
Oh, good. Oh, good for you, Fred.
Okay.
Good for you.
All right, we'll talk about him, but we'll also talk about getting ready for the end of the season. I know they have another preseason game with the Giants coming up on Thursday, but
it's coming fast now.
Yeah, all indications are that it's not going to be a lot of named people playing in this one. But we'll see, but I don't think so. I mean, they signed a running back, I think, just because they probably won't be playing any of the starting running backs.
Well, and they're banged up a little bit, too. So, yeah, I mean, I thought based on the way Vrabel spoke on Monday, I think you're right. I think they planned on getting the frontline guys a fair amount of work in these practices and probably going to play, some of the younger guys the bulk of the game on Thursday.
And I also want to talk about a report that's out that the Patriots are one of the teams that reached out to the Bengals about
when you raise your eyebrows like that, I'm on the edge of my seat.
You didn't hear that report?
Well, I want to hear your version of the report.
I heard there were 3 teams that reached out to the Bengals on Hendrickson, and now if I was the Patriots, I'd be reaching out on everybody to see So I don't think that's really breaking news at all, but I think it's just a topic for conversation.
Absolutely.
I hear that the Bengals, and again, this is all things I hear, are looking for a first-round pick. I don't know if you'd be willing to do that. I'm not sure I would. That's certainly not in the near future. But I'm intrigued. Let's go. Let's talk to these teams. What would it take to bring in a guy who was the league sack leader last year, even though he's 30 years old? Let's do that. I mean, that was last year that he led the league in sacks.
Yeah, no, he's a good player. Yeah. He's probably is worth a first-round pick. He's only 30. It's not like he's 34.
Right.
He probably still has. You're going to sign this contract. He's got another contract left with him that you should expect him to continue to be reasonably close to this production. Yeah. I kind of agree with your hesitation in your voice. I don't know if I'm reading too much into that, but I'm not sure the Patriots are at the place right now where signing one player to lose a draft pick that high makes enough sense. But I wouldn't hate it.
So now
I wouldn't be ranting and raving by adding that kind of talent.
I realize there's money involved in this too, so you have to factor that in. But
big contract, but they have that. And they have that, right? They have $60 million in cap space.
So let's forget about the money for a second. Would the Patriots be able next year to draft somebody who's better than him in the first round?
So more than likely, no. But that's a little bit of a flawed way of doing it.
Okay.
And you and I both do that a lot.
Yeah.
We do that same theory that you just did. I'm not making fun of you for doing it. We both do that.
I know.
Who are you going to get that's better than him? We both have that mentality. The question would be, would you reasonably expect to get a solid contributor for the next 5 to 7 years with that first-round pick?
Right.
As opposed to, will that guy be as good as Trey Hendrickson right now at age 30? You know what I mean?
Right. So
like if you let's say Will Campbell is your left tackle for the next 7 years.
Yes.
And he's a good left tackle. He doesn't have to be an all-pro.
Yep.
But he's a good left tackle. Is that more valuable than signing Trey Hendrickson right now? Like that caliber of player?
That position, yes.
Well, I'm just saying that's the question.
Right. But
if you bust on the first round pick and you don't hit it, sure, I'd rather have Trey Hendrickson.
But we started out by talking about his age, and like you said, if he was 33 or 34, I think it would be a hard no first round pick. But conceivably, you're still going to be able to get 3 years out of this guy, maybe 4.
You should. Yeah, I agree.
Maybe 4. You know.
I'd be strongly interested. I'm glad that to find out. Hopefully that report's accurate, but I'm glad to find out they're actively pursuing these kinds of possibilities. I hope that they're making calls to Dallas too.
Right.
About Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons and the Commanders.
He's younger.
Yeah.
Parsons. And that would obviously cost you a lot more.
Yep.
But yeah, I want the Patriots. Elliot Wolf said that yesterday, that they're actively involved in all these conversations. I want them to be.
Yes.
I want them to be players in all of these situations.
I mean, that's their job. Their job is to turn over every rock and see what's available. I don't care if it's Canada, Europe, free agents, disgruntled players, whatever. They should be looking at everything and making the call. Just asking the question, getting the information. That's what and every team does that, I'm sure.
So now the question becomes, with Hendrickson, right? Can you lower the draft capital by adding some of the veterans that seem to be on the back burner right now in your plans?
Right.
My answer would be no if I'm Cincinnati.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think that.
Well, I haven't evaluated their depth chart, but there might be some weaknesses that maybe an Anthony Jennings, maybe he fits there better than here. Maybe a Kyle Duggar fits there better than here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So if I'm Kansas City, if I'm Cincinnati, I'm just going to give Trey Hendrickson the money rather than give money to Kyle Duggar, because I don't necessarily think he fixes the problem that I have. I'm trying to get my finances situated and strengthening my team, but those are the kinds of things that, can I send him a second round pick instead of a first round pick if I add in a veteran player or two?
Right.
I don't know. The answer is I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's what I'd be looking into. We started throwing around different player names. So obviously, Patriots fans want to trade Duggar and Jennings because it certainly seems that this current coaching staff isn't overly interested in those two players. Well, everybody else knows that too. Yeah. You're a 4-13 team, and these guys aren't good enough to play for you.
Right.
I'm going to take them for my guy who led the league in sacks last year.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yep.
But now you start thinking, well, what are some other veteran players that you might be able to give up? Like would Keon White? Could that fetch something?
I would think so. But are you willing to give him up?
Marcus Jones.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the secondary for Cincinnati was a huge problem last year.
Yep.
So me, Evan, and Mike were talking at practice. We were throwing a bunch of names out, and I think Evan brought up Marcus Jones, and I was like, I'd have to think about that one a little bit. If for both sides, I'm not sure he'd be valuable enough, but can he drop the draft pick down a round or two? So interesting that we had good in his mic. We had some good media banter while watching it. We were talking about the potential veteran guys that you'd throw in a trade to try to get maybe Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah.
We threw out like Keon White or Marcus Jones. Like obviously everybody wants to give up Anthony Jennings and Kyle Duggar because it seems like Vrabel has no role for those guys. Well, they know that too.
I think Keon White's an interesting name. It's just coming off that practice. There was one field at the end of practice that looks like the guys are going to play tomorrow, and Keon White was over there. Guy who started the training camp off as a fixture there on one of the defensive end positions, and now it looks like he's still trying to figure out a role. I don't know, did you talk about Mike Smith saying?
I hadn't gotten to that yet. We got a chance to talk to the defensive coaching staff today. We did offense last week. Mike Smith is working with the edge guys, the outside guys. And there was a question asked of him about Keon White. sort of shown some flashes. What's been the key to try to get him unlocked so he gets more consistency? And Mike Smith said, we need to find a home for him, like one spot.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, none of us followed up by saying, well, what spot do you think that is? What's the best spot for him?
Or I would, why? Is he better being moved around? That's kind of like what they've been doing, right?
Right. And he talked about how that can be difficult to do because you're dealing with all kinds of different zone reads and, you play that this way if you're in here, you play that this way if you're out here. He used different examples like that.
Sure.
But I just wish that we had followed up and said, well, what to your experience with Keon, what do you think is the best fit for him? He talked a lot about his physicality and violence.
Yeah.
So I took from that maybe he thinks he's better served on the inside, but I don't know.
I think that's where he's been the best is rushing on guards and going right through guys. And you haven't seen the development with the array of pass rush moves. Chisum being a good example of a guy who came in and you see all these different moves that he throws at Will Campbell off the edge. You don't really see that from Keon White. So it's also just like getting to know this scheme a little bit, which I tried to talk to some of the defensive coaches about today. None of them will say anything about it. Is that it seems like those
why
two,
would they tell you that?
No, I know, but they're like, but
they didn't break down the scheme for you, Mike?
But it was like a hard stop, because I went to Zach Core, who pronounced Core, correct pronunciation of that. I think we had called him Kerr in the past, but Zach Core. And something I've been interested in is this is such a diverse coaching staff from so many different trees, and even Terrell Williams specifically has been in so many different defensive systems. Going back to Detroit last year, but go back with Vrabel. And then connecting like what Vrabel ran here as a player and then under Romeo Crennel and a little bit under Dean Pease. There's just so many different threads of schemes coming in. It's just, well, what is this scheme? And I wasn't trying to get him to tell me what it is. And really, the only thing Zach would tell me was it's about versatility for us, which is kind of what we've heard all the time. But
Evan would have gotten it out of him.
Oh, okay. But I would say what I've noticed about the two edge positions, Harold Landry, K'Lavon Chaisson, that spot within the scheme is that they're going to ask those guys to do everything. They're going to ask them, they're going to drop them out sometimes. And so that kind of ability to play up and back, and I've never thought that Keon White has looked super comfortable doing that. He looks like he's straightforward, go right through a guy, doesn't really have the savvy. So it's the same thing we're talking about with Anthony Jennings to an extent, different version of that. But how does his skill set fit into what they're trying to put together right now? I don't know.
So let's take a little detour for a second. You just came from practice and tell us, about practice.
Yeah, I thought, the offense in early semi-competitive periods, they were in uppers, not lowers, which we're still trying to figure out exactly what that means when they do that. We're kind of thudding, but we're not really wrapping up.
Well, they weren't in pads. They had the soft shells on.
Oh, was it? I did see there were shoulder pads. No,
it's the same as last week on those early practices with no pads
usually
on.
If they're in pads, they have the pants.
I got to get better recognizing that.
The ponts, game ponts.
Pantaloons, as we like to call them, Mike.
To me, it looked a little more clunky in the earlier team periods, ups and downs, and then in the last competitive period where it looked like they needed a field goal, Drake looked better. It was a better series there for him. He completed some nice passes. So getting to a point now where you kind of have to shut it down, and we'll see in week one. It's like you don't know what they're working on.
To that.
Yeah.
Some of them are on the other field getting ready clearly to play on Thursday night.
I started telling Freddie that. It's like it's starting to get a little bit faster. It feels like they just played and now they have another game right now. And like Fred said, it certainly looks like some of those frontline guys are not going to play in the game. So before you know it, you're going to have that cut down day, which is what next week
Tuesday,
from today,
week from
right?
Today. Yeah.
And then
see you next Tuesday.
You're gonna,
maybe not though.
and you're going to have your first iteration anyway of the 53-man roster.
Right.
We know that'll change a lot, but it's coming quick.
So let's go back to the game. We'll start there. That happened on Saturday, and I told Paul we're going to be talking a lot about the player of the game. Paul feigned ignorance.
Can I just state emphatically? I'm not feigning. This is the least knowledge of a whole week that I've ever had.
Watch.
I didn't see. I didn't have the ability to. I didn't see anything. I didn't see.
Yeah.
I don't really know a whole lot about the two practices other than what I've read. The one thing that I always regret when I miss a practice is I don't trust anybody. anybody.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear
So
you.
I've read a lot about the practices. I've read wildly different views of the practices, so I don't really even know what went on there, and I didn't see any of the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So I can't argue. You will get no arguments
No,
from
no.
me about anything with the game. I didn't see it.
So let's start the way the game started. And the Patriots had their frontline offense in there for the most part to start. And Drake, played a couple series. Was it two series?
Yeah, 2 series. Yeah.
He was high on a lot of his throws.
Yep.
Missed guys high. And 5 alarms. Yeah. Everybody is just in panic mode on most of Paul's shows about Drake Maye. And yes, he was high. He missed Pop on. He was wide open. Was too high on him. Was too high to Hollins on the sideline. Hollins made the catch, but I think a better throw would resulted in some yards after catch. But at least he saw the guys, so that's step one. He didn't miss that the guys were there. He just was too high on his throws. So there's that. Extended a couple plays nicely. But here's something I was thinking, and you guys can correct me. I'm going to pose this as a question. How many starting NFL quarterbacks are lighting it up in preseason games?
Well, Caleb Williams lit it up. That's one to
Joe
consider.
Burrow did last night. I think Joe Burrow's played 5 series and had 4 touchdowns.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But this is a huge departure for Cincinnati because they never play anybody in the preseason, and they've gotten off to these slow starts, so they're trying to do something.
Yeah.
So I don't think most frontline guys play a whole lot
So
in
my
the
point is,
preseason.
I remember games where Tom Brady started off a little bit too jacked up and was a little bit high on his throws, and
I
then he would
remember those
settle
too.
down, and
Yeah.
then he would settle down. In the preseason, you're working on something, specific things in the 2 series that you're going to play. It's basically probably scripted, and then that's it. You don't get a chance to go beyond that if you start off a little rusty. So I'm not going to get all worked up over some high throws. Would I love to see him be on target right from the get-go? Absolutely. So I'm not going to make excuses for Drake Maye, but I'm not going to panic either. I'm hearing people say, "Well, he may not be the guy." Seriously.
Yeah.
Based off these preseason games, so
Yeah.
it's way too early for that.
Yeah, I've given a lot of praise to Drake. I think he's looked very poised through the spring and into the summer, and that's the best thing I can say about him right now is that no matter what was happening with pressure or some of the guys when there were things happening around him, bad play, he's shown great poise. I just think overall he's been really inconsistent, and there's been some inconsistent throws. I think the biggest takeaway, and this I'll tee Evan up for this, is the biggest takeaway I had from when I grinded the film a little bit was that there are guys open. I mean, it's clearly like Josh is getting guys open down the field, throws that I felt like last year he would have not hesitated to rip. He didn't really rip them in that preseason game. Like you said, Fred, maybe they're working on something. So I see it there, and I just need Drake to start to put it all together. And I think that's what we're waiting for, and that's why when we're going into close it down mode, it might be see it week 1, but I'm expecting a little bit of inconsistency. He looks comfortable in the offense, but I think the way that it's manifesting itself is that he's not always seeing it. It's not always consistent. And again, as Vrabel said after the game, this is 3rd preseason game of this first regime. We're trying to get it right. We have to get it right. So I'm patient because I see the plays are there to be made, and I see some better weapons around him. But there's no question he's got to be more consistent, and he's got to stop spraying the ball occasionally, which he did going back to last year.
Yeah, I'm less concerned about the sprays and more concerned about him reading the field right now. I think the sprays, you're going to have to live with some of those with the type of quarterback and thrower that he is, and I have faith that Josh McDaniels will ease him into these games with the play calling and try to get him settled in. It's a big thing with a lot of quarterbacks, I think Brady had some of it a little bit. Brett Favre certainly. That's sort of talked about a lot, that he was one of those guys that was just so amped up going into the game that they would actually call runs and short passes on purpose to try to get him into the game a little bit and slow him down. The more concerning thing to me is he's having trouble with post-snap rotation. So the defense is showing him one thing pre-snap, and then they're falling out into a different coverage, and he's holding the football. He's not, once he sees that rotation, he's indecisive and not exactly sure what he's looking at. So it happened on the strip sack against Washington. They spun it, and he held the football. It happened a couple of times in the game against Minnesota. The one that's going around is the one that he ends up completing to Matt Collins, but he had 2 open receivers within the structure of the play that might have been touchdowns if he puts the ball on Douglas and Kyle Williams down the field. So, Brian Flores did some tricky things. Like, they get to cover 2 in different ways from different looks, and I think some of that came up in both games. So, like I said, less concerned about the sprays because that's him. Like, he's going to have 1 or 2 of those a game. A little bit more concerned about how he's reading the field at this point.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fair enough. You would love to see him play like a whole half or, to kind of get into a groove. It's tough.
That's what's interesting to me. I mean, maybe sometimes these things pop into my head and, you guys will be like, no, you're wrong. This is how it happens. But yeah, we had some joint practices, but we really haven't seen much of him in the actual preseason games. And maybe we don't need to, but that stands out to me as something that's a little bit different. I think you usually at least see a starting quarterback play a whole first half, but maybe they like the work they're getting in the joint practices and they don't feel like they need it.
Nowadays you don't. I think it's become more the norm that you don't see these guys play a whole half.
Certainly, I would say the established guys do not play, but there's an argument to be made that
he's not
Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, second year,
new offense.
I mean, Jaden Daniels didn't even attempt to pass, and he played. He didn't play. He didn't play in the Patriots game, but he played last night. Didn't even attempt to pass. Played 4 plays, and he ran in, as Evan said, for a touchdown.
It was nice of the Bengals too to kind of they had I think it was a battle. Their safety had Jaden Daniels lined up, and he actually didn't hit him.
Yeah.
Oh, was that right?
Yeah, and everybody was getting on battle for it, and I think he kind of did it out of
respect.
Kind of nice. Yeah.
Oh, we got a bad mic here. Okay, so we got some in-show repairs. But
I do feel like, for the most part, I agree with you, Fred. I don't think that a lot of starting quarterbacks get any kind of extended time. Gone are the days of that third preseason game that was the dress rehearsal where, the whole first unit would play the whole first half, and then the first drive of the second half to go through the half. No one does that anymore.
No.
I mean, when I say no one, I'm sure that someone has done it in the last few years, but, Patrick Mahomes and those guys, Josh Allen, they don't get any, much, if any at all.
I think it's an issue, but I'm in the minority. People are like, okay, September football will suck. I think we can do better.
But do you think September football is getting worse? Because I don't.
No, that's what I'm being told.
No, I think it's just always been bad.
Yeah. Oh, you think it's always been bad?
Yeah, I mean, Bill used to use it as an extension of the preseason in the heart of the dynasty. When they,
Well, he knew he would. He knew he was always.
No, but I'm just saying. I think September football has always been sort of less than ideal.
Yeah.
And you don't really know what you have until you get, you get into the heart of, like, say, October, and you sort of settle in. You know what everybody else is doing. They know what you're doing. You made your adjustments. Now you figure it out.
Well, at least we're not the Colts, right? They announced today that Daniel Jones is going to be their starter.
Does it really matter?
Danny Dimes.
It matters that they might have whiffed on their quarterback selection.
Well, I don't think there's any might. I think that ship has sailed.
Well, I
watched the last 2 years.
But I'm saying, like, here's a new season. He still had a chance to win his job, and he couldn't do it, Richardson. And so they're kind of starting over because I don't think they're looking at Daniel Jones as their quarterback of the future, right?
I doubt it.
I think that staff is kind of on the hot seat too, and
I agree.
Because Richardson, I think, has played pretty well in the preseason, for what it's worth. But he's so volatile that if you're a coach that needs to win right now, then hitching your wagon to Anthony Richardson is dicey.
And at least if you're, I agree with Evan. I think Shane Steichen is looking at it as kind of like Brian Dable when we were talking in the draft. Like they're going to have to find a way to win some games. And Daniel Jones has at least had some success in the NFL.
Yep.
Anthony Richardson really hasn't.
All right. So off of Colts, back to our team. So we talked about Drake's performance in that preseason game in Minnesota. Offensive line, again, I'm going to use the same caveat I gave to Drake. If I'm not going to panic about Drake for 2 series, I'm not going to judge too much about what I saw from the offensive line. But for the most part, I think it was pretty good. Would you guys agree or not?
Yeah, generally speaking, sure.
It's really small sample size for the starters. Campbell, those guys played 15 snaps. Not a ton of real drop back passing either. So you only saw 1 or 2 traditional dropbacks in the entire game for those starters. But I think the only thing that maybe a little bit of a question mark right now is center. I don't know if Garrett Bradbury is solidified right now as the starting center. It could be Ben Brown, could be Jared Wilson. We saw a rotation in there today.
3-man rotation.
Yeah, those two spots.
Yeah, I mean,
today.
I would think right now that the question marks on the line is left guard and center.
Yes.
My guess, and this is just a guess, Ben Brown's going to start at center, and Ben Brown's going to start at guard, and Bradbury's going to start at center.
Oh.
That's my guess right now.
Yeah.
I think it depends on like how much they're willing to kind of roll the dice with a younger player in Jared Wilson. Because I think there's no question that Jared Wilson's a better player than Garrett Bradbury, but he's going to take some rookie.
Right. I'm just saying to
lumps.
start.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you live with those out of the gate and let him grow as a player, or Bradbury's had some issues in pass protection. He in practice and in the games. So at what point do you say that Jared Wilson is just a better player than Garrett Bradbury?
Hopefully sooner than later. But now I want to tie in the offensive line to Drake's performance. So, Evan, you mentioned that you think Drake might have trouble seeing the field. That's your concern sort of right now, rather
just
than...
based off of this.
Yeah,
I thought he saw it really well
of
last year. I'm just...
Does McDaniels in the coaches have to work with Drake about resetting his clock, his mental clock from last year to this year, where by the end of the season his mental clock had to be sped up because he didn't really have any time to do anything. And maybe now you have to say, Drake, forget about last year. That clock has to be reset because you're going to have a little bit more time. You're going to have to stay in there a little bit longer than you got used to staying in last year. Is that something you think that could be an issue about why maybe he's not seeing the field the way you think he should or should have in that game?
Yeah, maybe. I definitely think that's possible on one of the plays. He looked like he had Kyle Williams uncovering over the middle of the field on the throwaway, the one he threw away towards the end of his second drive, and he didn't hang in there. He saw a flash of pressure coming up the middle, a little stunt inside, and he saw the guy coming free, and he just got out of there. If he had hung in there for an extra beat and just kind of feathered the ball over the first level to Kyle Williams is going to have all sorts of space in the middle of the field. So maybe on like once or twice I've seen some of that, but a lot of what I saw from the Minnesota tape was just Brian Flores disguising coverage. And when Drake Maye doesn't get the coverage that he's expecting, like how is his reaction to improvising at that point? Because I think Josh McDaniels is one of those coordinators that's going to give you a bunch of coverage beaters, and when they anticipate a coverage and then they don't get that coverage, like how do you react to that post snap? When they show like the slot receiver goes in motion, it looks like it's man to man, then all of a sudden they fall into cover 2. Like that's a different look than what you were expecting. So how do you react to that? Like those are the couple of things that came up.
To me, that's becoming offense 101 in the NFL because all teams are doing that. It's all about deception, right? Yep. So if you're not good at that, I don't know how long your career is going to be as an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, it was like I thought it was pretty. I didn't think that this was like vanilla coverage from the Vikings in the joint practices or the preseason game. They have in a preseason game. They have the nickel corner motioning with Pop Douglas and then dropping into the half field as the half field safety. Like you're not going to see that in college or in high school football. Like that's NFL football. And so when you see that type of stuff, how does he adjust? He had Pop Douglas on that play on the linebacker in a foot race. And like, that's a race that Pop Douglas is going to win every single time. So you just have to trust it and let it rip, as Deuce was saying earlier. So that was just what I saw. I didn't have the high throws don't bother me as much as they do with everybody else. Cause I'm kind of with you. I think he will settle into games and like the amped upness that he clearly had will calm down as the game wears on. I'm more looking at it like, is he seeing it correctly? And is he seeing rotation?
Do you think AI helps that? Not AI, but virtual reality. How they do that?
I hope so. I mean, that seems the perfect kind of thing where he can put on a headset and see these kind of coverages that maybe he's not reading correctly right now. But a little bit of a disconnect just for me. I mean, Evan pointed out one play. But like I said at the top, I feel like he's generally been pretty comfortable in the pocket. So it doesn't look like he's panicking a lot or, not knowing what he's seeing. That's what was so frustrating watching it, is like, there it is, Drake. Like when we saw him rip a seam throw today to Hunter Henry, it was beautiful. And that throw was there to be had in the game, and he didn't really seem to throw it. So you're left wondering, how's this all going to come together in 2 weeks against the Raiders? What's it going to look like with Josh having to offset their weaknesses, having all their complement of weapons that they need? Everybody seems like they're healthy right now.
I know it sounds flippant, but it's true. Like, we talk about Drake having to get used to maybe having a little bit more time. He might have to get used to guys getting open. No, I'm serious.
Right.
I don't know how often that happened last year.
Yeah,
I hope so.
It's also dawned on me too about Pop in particular. He's 5'8", so it's not exactly the biggest catch radius that you're throwing to in that spot. And the one that was high, like if that's Matt Collins, that's not high, but because it's Pop Douglas, that pass is high. So you have to learn to throw to different body types at receiver. The play I was talking about where Pop is winning against a linebacker, that's throwing a 40-yard bomb to a 5'8" wide receiver. And I just wonder if there's maybe a level of trust there down the field. Like he clearly will throw the ball to Pop underneath, but when it comes to pushing it down the field, like how much trust does he have to that Pop's going to win the ball down the field?
Yeah, I would just say, again, not talking about the game specific, but I haven't really seen him have more time in general the days that I watch practice. And I think we've had 18 practices now. And I wouldn't even include today when they're not even in full pads. I wouldn't say that time hasn't been an issue anymore. Like they have this fixed. From what I read in the joint practices, there were several would-be sacks. Now, maybe he eludes some of those because he's such a great athlete, but I don't think time is he's got the time. He's just got to set, maybe there were some plays in the game that he had the time because all the guys that applied all the pressure in the practices didn't play in the game. But based on what I've seen in practice, the amount of time that he has to throw is an issue.
Well, I just say in the game, it didn't seem like he was under duress.
No, because they didn't play.
Well, whatever, but still.
But that's what I'm saying.
If you're
but to your point, he played 15 plays.
No, I know, but if you're rushing it when you don't have duress, what are you going to do when you do have duress?
My guess is he's going to have duress based on what I'm watching in practice.
No,
So I wouldn't get too comfortable.
I just don't think
my point.
I don't think it's going to be as bad as last year.
It shouldn't be as bad as last year, but that's not really saying a whole lot.
I know.
It looks pretty significantly better to me than last year just because of how cohesive they look compared to last year. Like you don't see the unblocked pressures, the blow-bys, the alignment issues, like
one of those today,
flags and like all that kind of stuff. You don't see that quite as often. In Minnesota, there was pressure, but I actually thought he handled it really well. Even Vrabel said like it could have turned into an S-storm out here, and it didn't. Like Brian Flores could have put him in a blender, and he could have been throwing picks left and right and not seeing it, and that didn't happen in Minnesota, which made you feel positive. And then he gets into the game, and he looks tentative in the game. So the practices, he looked good, and then in the game, he didn't look so good. Mm-hmm. So there's a disconnect there between those two things that I think is interesting between this past week. It was kind of cool. We got to see him out in a joint practice for 2 straight days and then a game. And
I have a question for you two, and I haven't really brought this up off air. Jared Wilson, from your viewpoint, he was in and out or out of the lineup, I think, at times on Thursday's practice. Performance related, physical related,
ankle.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah, ankle. He said he tweaked his ankle a little bit, and that was.
But what do you think?
Yeah,
combination of both.
Yeah, and it seems like he's now back in that mix. So I don't know if he was out of that mix temporarily,
but in and out. Like today, he was in and out.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if they're wondering about him.
I think for
if
sure
he's ready.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's right now it's a
or
coin
if it's just
toss.
strictly
I
a
feel like all
thing.
3 of those guys, that interior that you pointed out with Bradbury and Brown and him.
Yeah.
And have you guys experienced this where you get down to the final preseason game and you don't really know 2 spots on the offensive line? I mean, I guess we have had some uncertainty there in the past.
Unfortunately, we did last year. But
Right, but
for different reasons.
But for the most part, you usually have those spots.
No, but that was the beauty of the dynasty. Is that always seemed.
That's why I'm wondering about the health.
Yeah.
Like there's been times where you don't know if so-and-so is going to be ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he missed most of camp. He had this ankle problem, but we don't know if he's going to be ready to go. This kind of doesn't seem like that to me. It's just still trying to figure out what's the best 5.
Yeah, I thought he played really pretty solidly at center in the game. He played 13 snaps at center and 16 at left guard, and I thought the snaps at center were pretty good, and you can see in the future how he could be a really dynamic center if they keep him there. So I wonder if that's an option this season for him moving forward, because he looks like he could be a really, really good center with some development. So I kind of took it as I think the initial knee-jerk reaction when we were in Minnesota was maybe a demotion. And then this injury thing popped up for him because during warm-ups in Minnesota, he was warming up with the 2s. And so it kind of felt like that.
See, this is the insight. That's why I asked the question.
But I
didn't hear any of this. I didn't read any of this.
I didn't, like, no one wants to call it a demotion because there is an injury, and it's just this it was one of those weird things of we weren't entirely sure. But then I thought he played a lot better in this game than he played in the Commanders game. And then this week he's back out there with the 1s. So maybe they saw it the same way too, and now they're like, all right, he's going to be somewhere in the mix here.
Yeah.
One other thing on this line that Evan and I mentioned during the practice was just it's a little frustrating that they've drafted so many guards over the past, going back to 2022, that none of those guys have really seemed to hit. I mean, Cole Strange, Layden Robinson, Caden Wallace, Sidney So, number of guys that now we're on Ben Brown, who came in middle of last year as a center, and now he seems like the top guard
it's
of
always
those guys.
Dangerous to do this because everybody else's camp is great. You look on Twitter around the league, and everybody's got it all figured out because everybody at this time of year, as Ryan Grable loves to say, is undefeated, right? Jake Andrews looks like he's got a starting spot in Houston for a line that has done a lot to revamp because their line was a train wreck last year, much like the Patriots. So they've put a lot of attention, much like the Patriots, and they decided that a guy that evidently didn't fit here
Wow, I didn't know that.
is a possibility. Mike, he could be the worst center in football.
He's playing center. Yeah, that's what he was here.
I don't know. But I'm just reading stuff about Jake Andrews having a good camp.
So we let the one good one get away.
Well, I think Antonio Maffey's another one who left last year.
Yep.
City So, like 2 years, I was listening to Tom Curran on one of my shows.
We forgot about those two.
City So 2 years ago was a starter, and someone on the radio tried to convince me that he was a Pro Bowl caliber player. That person's no longer in the market.
You saw to that. You saw to that.
Get out of here.
But as much as I didn't think that he was a Pro Bowler, I mean, he was playing.
Yeah.
And now he's like an afterthought on like the third group. He's not even in the mix at all.
Right.
Yeah, playing for a similar offense with Bill O'Brien where, power guards and things like I'm with Deuce on that. We were talking about it. Like
it is disappointing.
They've drafted like 5 or 6 guys to play the interior, and none of them.
I mean, it wouldn't be that much of a deal if at the time that they drafted these guys, they had a set line.
Right.
But they've been really searching for these people for the last few years.
Yeah, these guys have all had opportunities.
Right. Sure. Every year, every team drafts linemen. You need a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
You've got 5 that on there at a time, and guys get hurt. You need a big room, if you will, of linemen on every team. And so you're always drafting
9
linemen.
or 10 on the roster, right?
Right. You're always drafting linemen, and a lot of them don't pan out. Yeah. But on a team where you needed people to step up, they weren't able to do that.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny how I feel like the tackles, maybe just because we know it's going to be Moses and Campbell, but that was the conversation all offseason was about the tackles, and now we're sitting here 3 weeks to go to the season, and we're talking about the guards. Or the interior.
I mean, the question, I don't really feel any better about any of it, but I know the identity of the tackles, like Evan just said. There is no, I mean, we can sit here and say, I don't know, I think Vidarian Lowe's making no, Will Campbell's going to play left tackle and Morgan Moses is going to play right tackle if they're healthy.
Right.
We know that. We don't know exactly what's going to happen at left guard and center.
Right.
Yeah. That's why I like just looking at Thursday night, left to right, that offensive line. It's, Vidarian Lowe, Caden Wallace, Cole Strange, Sidney So, and Marcus Bryant at right tackle. I think that's an interesting group to watch you're looking for something to watch in a final preseason game.
I think Marcus Bryant's a development.
Oh, absolutely, and and of all the guys that you drafted as a 7th rounder, he's shown the most promise.
He's staying in the program.
Yeah.
The program.
But can any of those guys, especially the 2 guards, can any of those guys show anything where you say, geez, let's hang on to this guy, maybe there's something there? I mean, Layden Robinson was a guy last year that played a lot, that had some positive vibes at one time, and he hasn't really done anything to make any kind of move. He hasn't really gotten any chance.
Even since the spring, he was running with the threes, like all the way back in May and in June. Like he hasn't made any push. I don't know. I think there's an identity for the team and for the line that I think is better. Like they're going to be able to run the ball, I think, and they're going to be able to play physically, and they're going to have that Vrabel thing where they're going to be able to impose their will, as they say, on certain teams, and be able to run that football, especially like behind Campbell. But the pass protection is the real question mark now. If you play action and do all that type of stuff off the run game, like maybe you take like instead of 25 dropbacks, you limit that to like 15 a game. And that's a way to take the exposure away from some of those players in pass protection. But, at least there's that. Like, I think that in all these games and even in practice a little bit, I've noticed a physicality and an ability to run the football that's better than what we've seen.
Something else we saw today that the three of us were talking about watching practice, it looked like they were moving the pocket a lot, or trying to anyway. A lot of the stuff that Evan's talking about with the play action, the little West Coast kind of, half boot the other way, leaking Trevion Henderson out. A couple of times they would drag like Kayshon Boutte.
Not the right play. That's coming.
Kayshon Boutte would come across the formation because they got everything going this way, and then they're going to throw it back across the other way.
Let's use that as a.
But moving pockets are going to help the pass protection.
If you can sell it, then he gets out in space and he should be by himself.
Now, last year when they tried those things,
they couldn't
like on the
it.
first play of the game on a Thursday night game against the Jets, and Jacoby Brissett got killed. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. But using that as a transition into the other side of the ball. So that was something we talked about in the joint practices, which, Paul, you remember with the Commanders here, we saw Zach Ertz. I know you weren't watching the D, but Zach Ertz had a pretty nice day, especially right out of the gate. And then in day 2, all the talk about how much the Vikings really bounced back and had a good defensive plan. Somebody, thank you, I forget who it was, sent us a tweet saying that Kevin O'Connell was mic'd up on their preseason broadcast, and he said in the second day of the joint practices, they kind of schemed it up a little bit. Now I asked Zach Core about that, and he's like, I don't know about schemed it up, but we talked a lot in the post-game show about something that this is the kind of defense where teams are going to try to use that aggressiveness against them with screen passes and little dump-offs to the tight ends, and you look at who's coming in here week 1 with Ashton Genty as a screen threat, or Brock Bowers as threat for the tight end position, and my mind schematically starts to add up like, okay, this is going to be a tough little matchup, and if the Raiders have been kind of paying attention to what these guys have been doing, there's probably going to be a lot of that stuff. There's going to be a lot of screens that they're going to have to deal with. So I'm interested to see if the Patriots are aware of that. And what I asked Zach Core was like, is that helpful to you guys if you felt like you're getting game planned a tiny bit? I think that'd be really helpful to go into a practice where it's like, hey, we're going to attack your weaknesses today and show you what they are. And so now the defensive players have a sense of, once teams get a sense of what our defensive scheme is, which, again, they're keeping very closely wrapped up right now, we might see a lot of this stuff. So it's just something to watch as we get into that season, the ability to use the aggressiveness against them with the way they want to go get the ball.
All right, let's talk wide receivers a little bit. Have we learned anything since our last show on Thursday about what this group is going to look like?
There's a lot of guys hurt. Right now, I'd say that's my headline right now, because Kyle Williams, Chisum, Javon Baker, we're all out today.
Jalen Polk
and Kendrick Bourne haven't been seen, and we're going on weeks now.
I think they added another one who I don't know if you guys have seen on Twitter, if anybody is reporting who the number 22 was.
They have Phil Lutz yesterday.
Phil Lutz
from Tufts.
Another smallish guy, number 22 in white today. They don't have a lot of bodies.
Yeah.
Disappointing.
That crowded room is not as crowded right now because five receivers didn't practice today.
I don't know what's going on with Baker. It sounds like Chisum is going to be fine. And then obviously we assume that
don't be snide, Paul.
We assume Kyle Williams maybe concussion protocol. That's just a guess, based off of what happened in the game. So I don't think it changes though much about the roster, because Kyle Williams is going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
I think Chisum made the team. Sorry, Paul. So
You don't have to apologize to me.
that's 6 guys. Like I'm not one of. I don't know. Everybody wants to keep 7 to keep Javon Baker around. I'm just not as obsessed with that idea.
I wouldn't keep 6, so I'm not obsessed with Javon Baker by any means.
I think he got kind of unfairly criticized in that last game, Baker. I mean, I think he was 7 targets, 1 catch, but a lot of those throws were way off. Don't you think?
I do, but
One
I just
in particular, yeah.
I think generally this is more of the same, which is just riding the roller coaster. And at a certain point, you have to ask yourself, are we ever going to be able to trust on this guy 100% of the snaps that we play him to always do the right thing?
He had the one penalty.
And the false start inside the red zone is, and you could see his reaction. I don't know. I'm kind of over the roller coaster with him, and there's still a lot of people that really believe in him. But now you come out here, and tomorrow or Thursday night's his time to shine. And I don't know why he missed practice today. I mean, maybe him and Anthony Jennings are packing their bags to go to Washington for a trade. I don't know, but he's got to. I'm just sick of trying to be like, well, he's got to get on. It's like we keep just saying the same stuff over and over again. For a little while this summer, it felt like he was starting to string together some practices. But then you look at just the stat. It's like, well, 7 targets, 1 catch. It's yes, you're right. Some throws were bad, but at the same time, you want a guy that you think you can trust, and I have a hard time developing trust with him right now.
Yeah, he's just got this weird. He just doesn't finish plays, like all the time. Like the one in the back of the end zone, like he just stops running his route.
Yep.
Like
100%.
I think it wasn't a great throw, but Dobbs thought he was going to keep running the back of the end zone. And when he came out of the break, he just stopped.
I thought the same thing. I was like, why did he he just thought the ball was going to be on him.
Right.
And then you could just I watched that like 3 or 4 times. So I'm like, he just stops.
I can see it both ways. Like if you want to, wherever you want to place that blame or whatever. But there was that. And then like the speed out. Yeah, he ran like earlier in the game. Wasn't a great route. And it's just like these finishing elements. Like even the ball that he caught, I thought was like kind of lucky that the ball even got to him. Like the defender was all over him and Woolridge somehow kind of snuck it in there. So I'm with Deuce. Like I feel like we gotta quit it. Like you just keep on riding this roller coaster with him and
All right, and I know it's against scrubs, and I know it's not with the first team offense, but Chisum is taking advantage of every opportunity he's been given. He really is. Well, I mean, what else can you say?
I mean, I was talking to Paul about him yesterday, and to me it was just the football player aspect of it. And, you can tell me you've seen these guys do it before, but to me, he looked really good out there. He looked like a guy that I would want on my team, that I would want, to continue to develop. He's got decent size. It's not like
have Scatterboo, I want Chisum.
Well, it's not like it's a guy he's
hurt too.
Who's 5'7", 5'7", 180 pounds that you're thinking you're going to take a chance on. He's a well-built athlete, and anytime you have a player, to me, that makes a catch 2 yards short of the line to gain and can break multiple tackles to get through, it's a really good sign. I don't know if he has a role right now on the offense, but between Kayshon Boutte and Pop Douglas and Stephon Diggs, there might be some snaps eventually there for him this year if injuries come into play. So I was impressed with. I don't know how you couldn't watch what he did and not say that guy's doing everything he can to try to make this team right now.
Yeah, I think he made the team. In Minnesota, he did it in practice too. Like it wasn't just the game. Like he was dominating Minnesota's 2s in practice also. And you just look at, I think the 2 biggest things are the play strength is obvious. Like he's got some play strength to him that maybe that archetype doesn't typically lend itself to. And he's got a great feel for space and like uncovering and just sort of understanding like how to play football, like not just how to run routes, but like how to find space and get himself open and be quarterback friendly. And this is a guy that, at Eastern Washington had huge production and he just ran a 4.7 40. Like that's really all it was. Like he just ran a really bad 40 and it made him go undrafted. But he was a day 3 talent that just happened to fall out of getting drafted because he ran a bad 40 time, killed the East-West Shrine game, ripped it up there, has ripped it up, in the training camp with the Patriots. So sometimes there's a long history of receivers that haven't ran a great 40 that have gone on to be really good NFL players. Like it's not the end all be all, but unfortunately for a lot of teams, there's thresholds and when you run a 4.7 at a skill position, you're just not draftable for those teams.
What did Bucky Irving run? I still always look at him and I'm
like high 4.6s, I want to say. Yeah, right. So like there's a lot of guys like that. And I remember talking to Eric Galco at the Shrine Bowl saying that out of anybody that was at the Shrine game, he was most disappointed that Chisum didn't get drafted. Because he was the guy that he felt like was draftable by every measure except the 40-yard dash. And so that was, one of those guys for him. So I don't think that it's totally a fluke what he's doing, because he did this in college.
I don't think it's a fluke.
So
everybody said records, right?
Everybody said this was going to happen. He's going to have a huge preseason. I read that 9,000 times. I don't think it's a fluke at all.
Yeah.
That's it.
I expected him to be the Patriots' leading receiver in the preseason.
Because?
Of the style of play.
Not because he's a good wide receiver.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh.
I said because of the routes that he runs are going to lend you to quick completions that are going to be, when you have those guys out there like Josh Dobbs and Wooldridge, they're going to be looking for a safety blanket that uncovers quickly. His style is uncovering quickly. That's what he does.
All right. But if you can uncover quickly and catch the ball when it's thrown to you in this league, you might have a job.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
What do you think?
I think he's going to make the team. I don't think they have any options. I mean, Mike just rattled off 5 different guys that are not out there.
So you're reluctant. You're reluctant.
If Evans, I think he's going to make it by default. Yes. Yeah, If Evans if Evans right and his injury is not serious, then I think he's going to make the team.
Loose change?
I think they're going to keep probably Bourne and Polk on IR to start the year, and that's how they're going to layer in their depth at receiver.
Yeah.
But, I mean, someone's got to make the team.
Oh, I know. Yeah, the people are hurting right now.
I would only keep 5 receivers, but I don't know about the health status of all these guys.
If Kyle Williams Chisum might be the 5th receiver right now.
Exactly. If Kyle Williams is not ready to go, I mean, concussions can be a week. It can be 2 months.
Yeah.
Who knows? If he has a concussion, we should probably say that we don't know that.
We don't know that.
Yeah.
But you guys told me that it looked like he dealing with something with his head. Again, I know that you think I'm exaggerating, Fred, just because of Chisum. I did not see any of the game.
I understand.
So I don't know what happened to Kyle Williams, but you guys are telling me it might be head related.
I thought it was a clean hit.
Yeah, and it wasn't the hit.
Bang, bang.
Was it a penalty?
No.
No, I think Vrabel kind of wanted one, though.
The throw just let him right into
the Pasternauts sent him to outer space.
You want to talk hospital ball?
That's what everybody wrote.
Oh, my God. No, that was accurate. Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm not going to argue with something I can't argue with things that I don't have the information on.
I'm going to make a cut up of all of Chisum's targets from Saturday for Paul, and I'm just going to text it to him after the show.
You could do that?
Just so you know, I'm still not going to lie.
I don't know if people are familiar with the movie Clockwork Orange, but it's this guy that's really bad, and they try to rehabilitate him by making him watch these horrible videos, and they literally they pin his eyes open. That's what we're going to do, Paul. We're going to make him watch all of Chisum's highlight reels.
I just the only thing that I would say that everything you guys said I would agree with. I think he's done everything he could possibly do. The only thing I would say is I've seen this story countless times. I know.
Yeah.
We love it, though.
Maybe this one's different. Maybe this one will be Edelman.
Yeah, I mean, this is better than Gunner, Olszewski,
But Olszewski didn't do this.
No, that's what I'm saying.
He didn't do this.
Yeah, Chisum's better.
Yeah. No, but I'm just saying, if Olszewski had he didn't have the preseason that Chisum's having.
No, I agree. That's what I'm saying. I think that the ones that I've seen, I don't go all the way back to Austin Carr and Riley McCarron and but
Jeremy Gallen,
Childress, Jeremy Gallen, Jeremy Ebert.
Yeah.
The
Berrios.
Chase Winovich is the future of the New England Patriots.
I don't go back that far, but I do. Berrios, Gunner, Chisum's been better.
I agree.
But I admit to kind of to Paul's point, if Josh McDaniels wasn't the offensive coordinator, we wouldn't be talking about this. This is because there's a specific role in this specific offense that he just fits like a glove. That's why he's a legitimate candidate to make the roster. On like 31 other teams, he might not be. But because they have the slot receiver role here that Josh knows how to use better than probably anybody else, here we're doing it. We're doing Chisum.
I mean, this to me, it feels like if there was ever a Pop Douglas injury, it's Chisum go time. Like, who else can do that?
And he's bigger than Pop, which I think is kind of a factor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's a bigger target. He's, got a little bit more play strength to him. Pop's definitely more dynamic and faster.
Explosive, right.
But Chisum's a little bit easier to throw the ball to, I would say.
Yeah. All right. 855-PATS-500 is the hotline. Podcasts@patriots.com is the email. That's how you get in touch with us. And so let's open it up. We've talked a lot. Let's see what you have to say. Sam is in North Carolina. He starts it off.
Yeah, sorry, Paul.
Hey.
Who's going back to roster?
I didn't hear him.
What are you sorry about, Sam?
What did I do? What did I do now?
I said, sorry, Paul. Chisum's going to make the roster.
Who?
Chisum will make the roster.
Make it.
I can't state this any more emphatically. I'm not arguing with anybody about Chisum. I didn't see it. So you guys can tell me all you want.
If you did see it, you could argue with it.
Well, no, then I would have some knowledge to talk about. I would say, wow, you guys are right. This was an incredible performance. His toughness, his heart, all his grit. I saw it. I didn't see it, so I can't tell you you're wrong. I'm not arguing with anybody. You guys tell me he's on the roster. He's on the roster.
That's the point, Joe.
Okay.
But I like Drake May's ability to bounce back. I don't know if you guys see that every day, but like if he does something wrong, it always seems like he'll come back and correct his mistakes and put a drive together to score both times. The second time he was on the field the preseason. I don't know. I like that ability about it. What do you guys see?
All right. Thanks, Sam.
I mean, it's hard to say. I think Drake's been pretty steady emotionally. It doesn't really feel like you're on a roller coaster. And despite some of the clunkiness in recent practices, I will say I think he's been better in these last week or so in the end of practice situational stuff, where first few games or practices, even the in-stadium practice, you saw some turnovers, you just saw some clunkiness, those drives dying out, middle of the field where they just get off the field. It hasn't been perfect, but there's been better performances, especially like today. And again, take it for what it is, how competitive it was. But I think those things have been positive. Just needs to put it all together. I've seen elements of everything, but he needs to start hitting the big plays when they're there. And but again, I think that there's some time to this, like understanding how the Josh offense is going to mesh with the rotations. And certainly he got great experience this week in Minnesota with all the different fronts that Brian Flores was throwing at him, different pressures from different areas. So hopefully all this experience starts to translate, but I still remain a little cautious because I think it might be a little up and down early on, and he's going to need some time to really get a feel. But I expect that Josh will do a lot to protect him and protect what they know their weaknesses are coming out of camp.
Yeah, you'd like to see more of what Paul always did, more Patriot plays.
Yeah.
Where it's just in rhythm and they're in a rhythm and they're moving the ball, because like even the third down conversion he had in the game happens out of structure. It happens when he breaks the pocket and runs around and makes a play, which is great. Like I'm not, me, I'm for all that. Like that's Josh Allen, right? Like we can do all that type of stuff, but there was a play to be made in the pocket. So, like, can we make the play in the pocket 90% of the time and only save the out-of-structure stuff when you got to put the Superman cape on?
Right. Yep. DC's in Virginia. Hey, DC.
No, it's actually DP. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes. Basically, what I wanted to say is, like, when I actually say this, how much better are the other teams across the league when it comes to, like, basically, like, personnel-wise? Because we understand that these other teams, they don't have a lot of word beaters on the offensive line. They don't have a lot of word beaters at receiver, at least most teams. But at least the QBs are able to see the field, move around within the pocket, and stand the field and find the receiver and throw it with accuracy at times. That's not really Drake May at this point or whatever. Because I feel like this team has enough as far as components-wise, as far as on defense, first team, and then, to be spectacular. But at least get by somewhat on the offense. But the QB has to be better to deliver the ball, because when I look at a guy like Kyle Williams, he probably got like 5+ yards receiving in the preseason. If he actually had competent QB to give him the ball, and stand the field properly. That's all I wanted to say.
All right. Thank you.
I'm sure I got that.
What do you think?
I don't really think I got what he was saying there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little hard to
It was
hear.
kind of in and out. I'm not
Matt, all right. I don't think this speaker over here is working. But just so you know.
I am more optimistic about their ability to get guys open.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a combination of the receiver room is better and McDaniels, mostly the other thing. I don't know, but the joint practice in Minnesota and even the game, like there are open guys. Whereas before,
right, there's just nobody open.
Their protection breaks down in half a second, or there's nobody open. And I do think that there's been open guys in both instances. So do that with what you will. I guess that's a positive.
No, that was the same thing I thought when I flipped it on. I was like, holy crud, the guys are open.
Now,
like,
it's against Minnesota's backups, but guys that are going to make Minnesota's roster. Like, we're not talking about, fourth and fifth string guys that are going to be on waivers in a week.
Hey,
like
coming off 4-win seasons, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Emery is in Virginia. What's up, Emery?
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
What's happening?
Hey, all right, I'm going to express some things here, and if you don't mind, I would like for Paul to respond first. But I had a question first. Do you think the kid has that clutch gene? Because I'm a little concerned.
We don't know yet.
Are we talking about Chisum?
Talking about Drake Maye, right?
Oh, Drake
Chisum's
Maye.
got clutch.
Chisum obviously has
Got
that
that dog in him.
Yeah, I want to throw a little bit more, then I'll turn it loose. Because in that his first three throws in that game against the Vikings were not NFL level starting quarterback, and I know the kid has the talent. There's no question the talent is there, but I do have some concerns about his mental makeup, because we can't blame it on the line. On those three throws, the line held up, and the receivers were open. He overthrew Pop. Pop was open by at least 10 yards.
Yeah, I don't know if it was 10 yards, but he was wide open. You're right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my last thing, and Josh, come on now, Josh made Mac Jones look like an NFL starting level quarterback. So again, please break it down for me and explain to me. Paul, will you mind going first on that, please, though, sir?
Okay.
Paul.
Okay. I don't know what I'm trying to break down. I'm sorry.
Do you think that, well, the first question was he's worried that Drake doesn't have the clutch gene.
So I would just say that is a big question mark. I don't think that he showed a lot of clutchness in college at North Carolina. I think in some of the bigger games that they had a good team his first year as the full-time starter. They had a pretty good roster. I thought they had some games that they had a chance to win that they didn't. And certainly it was very few and far between last year, but there were a handful of times with it. The game that really sticks out to me is Tennessee. You know, you have this desperation drive at the end of the game where you're not really expected to do anything, and they go down and miraculously, based on his unbelievable individual play, tie the game. Well, now you have a chance to win it, and you throw a pick. Like, that's way unfair to say he doesn't have it because of that one play. Yeah. But
maybe if you picked the
jury's out.
Yeah,
the jury's out on whether or not he has what it takes, because I think that's what separates a lot of these guys.
Yeah,
I don't think Mac Jones had what it took. You know, he said that Josh McDaniels made Mac Jones look like an NFL caliber player. I never saw that. I was adamant at the time. He never had the clutch gene. They only won one way, and that's if they scored like 14 points in the first quarter. Usually 10 of those were on defense. And they played Katie by the door, and they held on.
Yeah.
If he was asked to come from behind, Mac Jones couldn't do it. So did he have the clutch gene? I would say no. I don't know if Drake Maye does.
Yeah,
it's too early to tell.
To me, it's the number one question. I've been saying it since the spring of, is Drake a killer? There's plenty of talented quarterbacks in the NFL, guys that have the size and the arm strength and all that. But when it gets down to brass tacks at the end of the game, who's the guy that can lead their team? And where I'm wondering is it a confidence thing? And maybe even if he doesn't have it right now and initially out of the gate, as he gets more comfortable in the offense and he really starts to grasp what they're trying to do in his second year as an NFL quarterback, which, as everybody says is a year of huge growth, then does he start to find it because he's just confident? I don't know. I don't know if those things exist independently of each other.
Yeah.
Can you be clutch without total confidence in what you're doing?
When they start to increase the level of talent around him, does that allow him to settle into these situations a little bit better? Or does, last year it would be certainly understandable if he's looking at, say, like the Rams game here. Rams are a pretty good team. They come in here, they got red hot in the middle of that game. Stafford and Nakua and Kupp were killing them. And I think they scored like 4 straight touchdowns. You could sort of get overwhelmed by that. And then all of a sudden you get the ball at the end of the game and you're down 6. You got a chance to win it. And would be understandable if Mac Jones looked at that and said, I got to put this all on my shoulders. I got to do it. And he made a bad play. Now, there's certainly a lot of question about that play, whether or not Demario Douglas should have sat down in that zone and whatnot. But I think there's a lot more to it than just the flat-out result. It's easy to sit there and say, well, they had a chance to win this game late, this game late, this game late. They didn't win any of them. Yeah. Well, he's not clutch.
Yeah.
There's probably some nuance involved in contextual situations.
I think my answer is we just haven't seen it yet. So,
I haven't seen. Yeah, I haven't seen any.
We don't know.
And
That's sort of where
and
I
in
was
fairness, Tom Brady's third career start, you saw it.
Right.
Third career start. And the team was not supposed to be any good. They were 1-3 at the time, and he brought the team back from 10 down against the Chargers and won.
I just think we're like the whole clutch thing. To me, I think we're like is like 10 steps from now for Drake. Like, can they be in some more games first, and like, can they be competitive, and can they have some success, and they're not. I don't think that we're at the point where we're talking about is he a killer or clutch enough for them to like go on a playoff run. Like we gotta
but you gotta find a way to win games, and there's times in the games that are bigger than others.
Baby steps. Like I just feel like the clutch thing is, we all want to win right away, and it's might be a little bit more of something that we determine down the line.
Sure, it could be. It could be. In fairness, he hasn't been given enough opportunities to show us yet. So the jury's out, though. And to be clutch, you need to be tough as nails. And I would say Brunt is clutch. Of course. Because they're tough as nails. They're based right here in New England. Brunt Workwear makes work boots and apparel that are built for the job site. Their gear is comfortable, durable, and named after the real workers in the trades that help design it. You can even try Brunt out on the job, and if it doesn't blow you away, just send it back. Save $10 on your first order at bruntworkwear.com/Pats or with coupon code PATS. All right, we'll take a break. My food's here. We'll be right back after this.
Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
With FedEx One Rate, you can ship to your student for a simple, predictable flat rate. Send a box full of home-baked treats that say, "Your father and I miss you." Or send a box full of instant noodles that says, "Your father and I would like you to stop asking us for money." Either way, one rate fits all. FedEx One Rate. 2-day shipping, one flat rate. Starting at $14.50. Visit FedEx.com/OneRate for details. Exclusions apply.
How are we doing? Good, how about you? I'm good. Usually you have to stay for the game to be able to ask the first question.
All right.
Go ahead, Karen.
Since we won't see you before Thursday, or this is our last opportunity to chat with you, and I know you like to go day to day, but do you have a plan for who might play and who might not play Thursday? I mean, will you have regulars playing or try to hold them out?
Yeah, I think with a quick turnaround, I think we'll have to just manage some of those reps. But yes, obviously, try to have a plan. Quick turnaround. These are going to be 2 important days here. We got to get back out here. We'll be in a red zone today. And then there'll be a group of guys that get a lot of reps tomorrow that are going to be good, important reps. So based on how that goes, that'll tell me a lot for Thursday night.
How much evaluation is that? Or is most of the hay in the barn,
No, I mean, I don't think that's ever, we're always trying to evaluate and improve. I can't see a scenario where we'd ever not want to do that and continue to try to improve the roster or continue to evaluate who we think is going to give us the best chance to win, and also who has shown enough to want to work with on the practice squad, or who could, again, we've talked about the different types of players that maybe you end up on the practice squad throughout the league, whether that's a young developmental player or maybe somebody that can be called up for the game quickly on short notice.
Mike, how do you being able to watch the film? How do you feel like Will performed in Saturday's game?
He did fine.
Mike, how do you reconcile practice performance versus preseason performance? And speaking specifically to Baker and Jennings, seems like Baker shows up quite a bit in the 11-on-11s here, but then the games you had a hard time getting them the ball. Obviously, Jennings goes kind of bananas in the second half of Minnesota and some of those areas.
Well, we don't ever underestimate the performance in a game, in live action. And yeah, I don't think Javon, would have liked to have been able to connect on some of those passes and those targets. He stuck with it. I liked where his attitude was and his ability to play on special teams. And then even late in the game to try to block, we threw a screen out there to Giles, and he's attached and he's trying to finish, and then found a reception there late. So I think that shows some growth. I think that could be for a young player, when it doesn't go your way early. I think maybe it could have been an opportunity to kind of just pack it up, and I didn't see that from him. And again, my indication to that is the fact that late in the game we threw a screen to Giles, as I mentioned, and he's blocking, he's finishing, he's trying to make sure that he's protecting the guy with the ball. So sometimes it doesn't always go the way that you anticipate, or maybe the stats don't indicate that. And then for Anthony, just taking advantage of the opportunity that he got and helped us win.
Mike, after the game, you said you wanted to talk to the medical staff on Kyle, Isaiah, and maybe even Efton. What is their status, the three of those?
I would not anticipate any of those out here today, and we'll see what their availability. Aiton will not play in the game, and so that one I know for sure, and then the other guys will continue to evaluate.
Like, when you have find offensive linemen playing new positions like Vidarian, Ben, and Cole, how much stock do you put into the limited sample you have at them at the new positions? Is there any other part of that evaluation besides them just being on the field there?
I think if you're at some point in time, you're going to have to play more than one position, and swing tackle or tackles that aren't starting the game are probably going to have to play left and right. So we're going to continue to work with Vidarian and get him some more snaps over there at the right. And I'd hope that will be better. And I understand that when you're on one side and you hear calls and a play means something, and then you're on the right, what your job is on the other side may sound simple, but when it's quick, I can at least appreciate where some of the, maybe miscommunication or, the assignment could get mixed up from play to play. So just getting him comfortable over there to be able to evaluate him at both sides.
Did Minnesota's late movement with their D-line affect some of that too? It was pretty quick.
Well, that's what movement's going to be. It's going to be on a snap, and sometimes in the run game, we're going to have to be able to do that. They're not just going to stand still on us. Sometimes we we caught them, and sometimes we didn't. So there were examples where the movement, we were able to block it and gain yards in a run game, and other times where, we weren't.
We talked a lot about not wanting to see guys repeat mistakes, of course, throughout their development. Do you feel like Drake, in terms of his judgment and just ball security, has shown a lot of that? And how far do you feel like his progress is at this point?
Well, I mean, I think that we have to be able to connect on passes like the one to Pop. Was making sure that both the receiver and the quarterback are on the same page, and that the ball placement is where it needs to be. I would say that tip balls, especially ones that are over the middle of the field or towards the middle of the field, are going to end up intercepted. And he's continuing to improve and continue to help us. And I like where he's at. It's just, we just got to fix that. And we talked to him about not taking a senseless hit outside the pocket on 2nd and 10. And if there's nobody there, throw it away, and we'll try to convert on 3rd down, and just being smart and understanding those little details. And then we talked about late in the game there with Ben and being able to coach that 5-minute situation where we would want him to take a sack, even though as a quarterback you're like, why do I want to take a sack? It's 3rd down and 7 and there's 3 minutes and 12 seconds left. We force them to call a timeout, or we take 40 seconds off. So those are great opportunities to learn from, and again, the quarterbacks that aren't in the game, they have to put themselves in that position, and that's what we were trying to do there at the end of the game, is to make sure that everybody was watching the situation, whether that's the last play situations on defense or the 5-minute offense with the guys that weren't in there. Don't worry about it. It's okay. I hear you too.
Kyle Duggar. I was trying to be louder. You told me to. I'm trying to be louder.
You weren't louder. I could just recognize your voice.
Okay, I'll work on it more. With Kyle Duggar, as it concerns that last play with the interception, what did you see on that, and how did you maybe coach him to either go down after or just kind of like immediately on that play? Just what did you see?
Well, just again, that's why we practice. Why we are grateful that these games can create those situations of the last play. And again, you have two choices. One, bat it down when it's the last play, which I'm not expecting him to. And then when you intercept the ball, we just have to go down. And then whenever we have the football in our hands defensively, we have to be able to secure it, and we have to be able to block, and we have to be able to get the intended receiver and do all the things now that an offensive player would do. So to just simply go down there and not have to take the few extra steps to make it close.
What did you think of the game? Drake talked about how he was maybe a little too amped up for the first part of the game, but he says he doesn't really want to change that. He likes playing with energy. Do you appreciate a quarterback who approaches his job that way? Do you want to try to calm him down as a head coach? Like, how do you view that?
Again, the personality or their whatever they're feeling, that's up to them. I think that the performance and the mentality and how we want to play the game has to be the same. So, whatever they want to feel, they're more than welcome to feel. We just need to make sure that we, execute, and that we're taking command of the huddle, and that we're operating at a high level. And again, some guys are going to be more amped than others as their own personal approach to the game.
What did you think of the left guard competition after getting a chance to watch the film, and were there any guys specifically that you thought made the most of their opportunities?
Well, we'll continue to evaluate that, that spot and that rotation, and where we're at, competing and trying to make sure that we're giving everybody the opportunity in there from the center and the left guard, and just trying to figure out what the best combination is.
What have you seen from Ben?
And now, great moments in history.
I'd rather be Damian Harris than Jake Bailey.
No, Damian Harris had barely dressed for games.
I'd rather be him. He's a player. He's a football player.
I know, but he doesn't play.
I don't care. I'm not a punter. I'm not the, I'm not the butt of everybody's
still get
jokes.
a ring. You're still
It makes the team better in practice.
But he asked me which one I'd rather be. I would take either one if I had, to choose between what I'm doing now with you morons or doing. I'd be the punter. But if I had to choose between being a real player and a specialist?
Plus, being the running back for even just 10 plays hurts a lot more.
Oh yeah,
It does. Wait a minute. What do you want? What do you want?
make a lot of
Everything
money
with no sacrifice, no pain?
Oh yeah.
You're just playing?
All of a
You're
sudden,
just out there
all of a
playing?
sudden, Paul's Newt Rockney over here with the sacrifice.
That's another great moment from
Back here, 55 Pats 500 is the hotline. Podcast at Patriots.com is the email address. Vrabel today. Anything?
Yesterday.
No, yesterday.
Yesterday. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we got to hear from Terrell Williams though for the first time today. Which,
Yeah, that's right.
we
Defense
haven't-
was today.
I think that's the first time we've heard from him since he announced that he had been sick and why he was away from the facility. So now it's good to hear from him finally. He's been kind of a man of mystery around here. So good to see him out there healthy. Said he got dehydrated a couple weeks ago. That was a little bit of an issue, but
a scare.
But yeah, and then the defensive coaches as well. Like I said, not giving me much. Not giving me much.
No, they're very tight-lipped.
Very tight-lipped.
Deuce was really disappointed, Evan, that they wouldn't unveil the whole scheme to him.
I know.
I said to defend you, Evan would have gotten it out of him.
I tried, and I asked them. I even said like, just in general, like you don't have not specific to you, but just in they were tight-lipped, and we've talked about this before, but like most defenses or schemes, whether offense or like fit into a tree.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, this is like the McDaniels offense is part of the Earnhardt Perkins, or this defense is birthed from the Seattle 3. Like they kind of run their own defense, and I think they kind of know it, so they don't really want to like go out and
think they might have some things up their sleeve.
No,
it just is a scheme that doesn't belong in. It's not a Fangio defense. It's not a Belichick defense. It's kind of its own.
Yeah.
Its own thing, and I think they're pretty tight-lipped about it.
I was saying before you got in, like I just looked at the coaching history of all this defensive coaching staff, especially Terrell Williams and obviously Vrabel, but there's just so many different threads from so many different defenses that it's, I mean, I love that stuff where it's all right, they're going to run this version of it, but they got their own thing going on. Be interesting, like once we get into the season and the real film heads on Twitter and stuff get into it, and then I'm hopeful one of those guys will go way back and will be like, all right, well, it's a little bit of this concept up front, and
You take that disrespectful.
No, well, I know.
I thought
he's looking for someone to uncover it.
I thought that was
he's
like
sitting
homework.
next to the guy who's going to.
Well, I keep asking him to do it, and here we are. We're both just standing here not knowing what's going on.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
I just want to know, did they stop him or not?
Right.
Are we better on third down defense than we have been the last few years?
By November,
It's the game
are we going to
within
be
the
throwing
game,
the
Paul.
word elite out?
Elite? We might throw it out of the conversation, or we're throwing it out there.
Yeah, I think you could throw that word out.
They are, it's preseason, but they've played a lot more quarters coverage. 4 deep players across the deep part of the field than what we've seen in the past. They've played quarters 28% of the time in the preseason. Over the last 5 years, the Patriots have only played quarters 7% of the time. So it's a pretty significant increase. And this is the time of year where you play your base defense. Like you play vanilla coverage and sort of what your base concepts are that you put in the spring and things like that. So I think that's definitely going to be a little bit more of it than what you see. And I think some of that relates to like why Kyle Duggar is where he is right now, because he's not really a quarter safety. He's not really like a deep safety like that. So I asked Scott Booker about that, and he gave me like the runaround of like, oh, well, we just like to mix up the coverages. It's just, we're going to just play a bunch of different ones, but they're very.
Mike, you want to throw your Kyle Duggar question to Fred? See how Fred answers it?
Yeah, sure. I asked the boys. We were sitting up there watching. I just said, if you had to
Who are
say
the
it right
boys?
now, Paul
Okay.
and Evan Laser.
We watched
the three
practice.
of us.
We watched practice together today.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
If you had to say right now, where's Kyle Duggar week 1? Is he a Patriot, or is he playing? Is he not a Patriot?
I think he could be. I don't know if it would be a surprise at this point, but he's a surprise cut candidate.
Yeah. I mean, I was all with
I
kind
don't
of
think
Paul.
there's any chance he gets
I
cut.
think, I'm kind of with Paul. I still lean like they're not quite ready to give up on him yet, and I don't feel super. It's very close for me.
Well, to me, it's the money. I don't think they
So,
want to eat that
so
money.
we all know he was playing deep into the game, if not right to the end.
Guys
of the
that
game.
play when he played, get cut.
He was the very last play of the game.
Yeah.
So from your film review,
Yes.
was he doing anything where you could say, okay, the reason why he's playing deep is because they're asking him to do things he hasn't done before and he needs to practice?
Yeah, I would say that there's some of that. they're playing a lot of quarters, like I was saying, and then they'll rotate into cover 1 or cover 3, depending. They kind of mix it up, right? Sometimes they stay stagnant and they stay too deep, and then sometimes they rotate it to single high. And some of those things that they do in the back end when they play those kinds of coverages are especially in quarters, are different than what they've been doing around here the last couple of years. They might be in match quarters where he's like kind of has a man that he's keying in on, and then if that man runs under, then he's in the zone, and it just some of those intricacies. And I think what we see with Kyle Duggar sometimes is he's kind of got tunnel vision, where like he doesn't see the whole concept. He only kind of sees like his 25% of the field, and then guys are like running into his his area from other areas, and he's not really like, he's not instinctive, like he's not picking up on those guys. So I think that they are trying to see if he fits his defense and if he can adapt to it with more reps, and the live reps are obviously the only thing that's really going to help is if it sticks for him. Because I think he, watching him on the tape, like he moved significantly better than everybody else that was on the field at that point, to the point where sometimes I think he was actually slowing himself down so that he wasn't like overrunning plays, because he was going at a different speed than everybody else. But it's mental. It's all of it is he going to catch on to it mentally?
And similarly, when he was on the field, really one of the best guys on the field was Jennings. Like, yes, he's another guy that played deep, but he was dominating.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right. He took that right tackle. He whooped him. Like it wasn't just the sacks. Like he was beating the right tackle, the Vikings backup right tackle all second half in every area, but he's dominating a guy that I don't know if it's going to even be on the Vikings roster.
Which he should do.
He should do.
So for that reason, I don't think that those guys will get cut necessarily, but I do think that they're going to look to move them if they can. I just don't know if, especially with Duggar. I think Jennings could get moved because I don't think his contract is prohibitive.
It's like this is the last year, right?
I think he has two.
Really?
He
signed
year
a 3-year
next.
extension.
Yeah,
right?
3-year extension.
Okay.
He signed, I think.
So at first he signed a 1 year and then they upped it. Is that?
I think
remember that?
I think
thought
last
Jennings
offseason it
signed
was
a
a
3
3-year
years,
extension.
$12 million. It rings out in my head. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not big money.
Yeah.
But Duggar is big money. Duggar has the second highest cap hit on the team. So I think they would look to move him if they could. But if they can't, I think he's going to be here, and I think he'll play. Like, I just think he's too talented to just not play at all. I've never been in love with Kyle Duggar in coverage.
Right.
I think the problem here is pretty obvious, what we talk about all the time. Him and Peppers kind of more comfortable closer to the line as box safeties. They clearly think Peppers is better right now at that role. They don't want to have them both out there. I don't know. But that's to me, it's a big leap from that to we're just going to cut a guy and pay him whatever is left on,
Yeah.
Acceleration.
Yeah,
One of the things that stood out to me was when Jabril Peppers didn't play on Thursday's practice last week, they didn't give Kyle Duggar a chance in that sub linebacker role. That was Del Pettis. So I don't even know if they see Duggar the way that we see Duggar. I think they see Peppers and Duggar as different in that, they really seem to have a design on Jabril Peppers and wanting to play him on passing downs next to Spillane. I mean, he might be between him and Ellis.
I think it's what Evan's
those
saying.
split linebackers.
I think that they do see him like that. They don't know if they can do the other thing. They know that he could, we got to figure out if we don't have Kyle Duggar in this team, if we're going to trade him because we don't need two of
okay, I
those,
see what you're saying.
we got to figure out who's going to be behind Peppers because Peppers gets hurt every year too.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So
yeah,
they're going to have to figure out if Kyle Duggar can play in a different way if they're both going to be on the field together. In other words, I don't think that Kyle Duggar fell behind Del Pettis on the depth chart.
I would just say it's interesting.
I know
we haven't seen him.
That's what it was reported as last week. I know you guys probably weren't up on all the different things that were getting reported out of Minnesota, but that was one of them. He's now with the threes.
I like that point. I just think it's interesting. We haven't seen him at all at that linebacker role. You haven't.
No.
You've just seen him as kind of a safety, whereas Peppers, you have seen play a lot of that linebacker role.
I think Peppers is that guy.
Yeah.
But I think if something were to happen to Peppers, like tomorrow, and they needed to, I think Duggar would be in that role.
Yeah, but that would be the first time we've seen him even do it in camp. Like, is he going to be able to grasp that too, or is that, that he's good at that? I
they know he can do that, so
anything.
they have to find out if he can do the other thing.
Yeah.
It'd be my guess.
I don't know
For
if
whatever
they can do
reason,
it.
they don't.
Yeah,
I mean, he's not in the plans.
Yeah.
No.
For whatever reason it is, they're
No.
clearly looking to move on for him.
I think it's a complementary thing. Like Craig Woodson and Jalen Hawkins are just more complementary players to Jabril Peppers. Not to mention some of the deep zone stuff that they want to do, and they need like a guy that can really cover grass and can kind of see things and anticipate things. Like I don't think that they are looking for somebody like Duggar who's going to be a little bit stiffer and not be able to move sideline to sideline. Craig Woodson, Jalen Hawkins, like a little bit more like that. That unlocks Jabril Peppers to do his thing closer to the line of scrimmage and blitz and be in the run fits and like all that stuff. I just, the one question I think the safety thing in terms of like free and strong safety is kind of solidified. Like I think it's going to be a rotation of Peppers, Woodson, and Hawkins in some way, shape, or form. I have no idea how they're going to cover tight ends. And this is something that we brought up a ton in Minnesota because TJ Hawkinson was kind of killing them in practice. And
after Zach Ertz killed him in practice,
Right.
and they have to see Brock Bowers in week 1.
Right. And it's not so much like, I just don't know what this scheme, like how do you cover the tight end within the framework of the defense? Because the Belichick defense, you had the Duggars and the Chungs and like those types of guys that you just kind of knew were the tight end stoppers. Like, I don't know if that's how they want to do it.
Like Ellis is going to get stuck on some tight ends.
Right.
Marcus Jones is going to get stuck on some tight ends. And I think it goes to the point you asked the cornerbacks coach today about Alex Austin in the slot. And maybe that's an option to give you a little bit more size.
I mean, we talked about week 1 against the Raiders. They've got Bowers. But I think in that game, we talked about it. You could put Davis on the tight end. I think you can.
He's a physical guy.
You can loan him to the tight end because they don't have the receivers aren't that great where you need. I'm assuming Gonzo's going to be available to play. That you would need both of those guys on the outside.
Wouldn't be stunned.
Yeah, we
Wouldn't be
talked
stunned
about
if
that
they did something like that
last week. It's not Brock Bowers that scares me necessarily from this perspective. It's like TJ Hawkinson. It's the third. If it's the third fiddle in the offense,
you can't game plan him up.
You got to put Justin Jefferson. You got to do something to Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison's on the other side, and they have this pass catching tight end that can make plays.
Right. Well, that's going to cause problems for most teams.
So if he's one-on-one, who's he one-on-one with, and how are they able to keep it so that TJ Hawkinson isn't beating you?
But you could see that twice with Miami.
Right.
Like we saw it last year with Jonnu Smith.
I know, man.
Killed
Jonnu
him.
Smith again in Pittsburgh.
Killed him down.
Yeah, he's in Pittsburgh now.
No, but that's a team that has two
Yep.
options
Right.
that are going to require Davis and Gonzo's attention.
Right.
Now you got to deal with a tight end who is capable as a receiver.
And with Miami, we might have to be dealing with Matt Judon coming off the edge.
You saw that?
He just signed
he
with them.
signed. Yeah.
Wow, how quickly things have changed.
Yeah.
I just.
So he's going to have teal sleeves now?
We'll have to see. Not red. Not red.
Rob writes in, underrated aspect of the Patriots preseason so far, no penalties, lots of physicality, not a lot of mistakes yet.
Yeah.
You buying that?
I would say
I would
overall,
focus on the pre-snap stuff. That was
Yeah.
really a problem last year, has not been a problem this year. That's a really positive sign.
It's hard to compare it though, because last year it felt like such a train wreck, and this year it's been definitely good. But I was so scarred by it last year. It's like, well, what's good now? That's still where we're at. But I think overall operation, play intensity, all that stuff has been really positive.
It's buttoned up. You're lining up properly. I know you guys.
So low.
But you guys made a comment. I think Baker had a false start penalty. Like that's when you can name them individually.
Yeah, right.
That's a good sign.
Instead of in the low. I mean, you have a lot of times last year. Remember, it'd be like the first or second snap of the game that you'd have a false start on them.
Oh, when you had remember in Washington, the tackles were lining up in the backfield.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah,
remember? I mean,
We've come far.
Yeah,
I think
again and again.
Right.
If you had to add it all up and just kind of sum it up, I think on both sides of the ball and maybe even in the special teams too, there's going to be big swings, back and forth. That's what it feels like. A big play on the kickoff and then they give up a big play, or big sack on defense and then they get gashed by a screen for a big play. And Drake misses a wide open guy, but then he bombs one down the sideline and hit Max Collins. Those kind of swings. Can they just find enough consistency across those three phases to win games? And No, that's what Vrabel said. The thing we have to start preparing to win right now. So I don't know what that looks like. That'd be a good.
Stephen Marblehead writes, "Where do you rank Chisum in terms of all-time Patriots?" Fred, where do you rank Chisum relative to Stanley Morgan and Randy Moss? Slightly lower. Deuce, Alex, and Evan. Alex isn't here today, but Deuce and Evan, where do you rank Chisum relative to Welker and Edelman?
Behind him,
yeah.
by a
And then
pretty
Paul,
good margin.
Paul, where do you rank Chisum relative to Josh Boyce and Bam Childress?
Oh,
way different kind of receiver than Josh Boyce, but
Bam Childress.
I can't
Bam
believe
Childress.
Yeah, he took that very seriously.
I think he was just kidding around with us.
And I used that as an opportunity to say that I've been down this road before.
Yeah. Jeremiah says, I may have rose-colored glasses on, but I've always felt Maye has shown glimpses of that killer mentality, but I just don't think coaching or players made it any easier on him trying to execute. The games I like to think of where it's score or go home, like Jacksonville, he took it downfield and scored to give them a chance in the Rams where they tied it, but he just couldn't do it again to win the game.
Okay, so
They're behind it, Jackson.
they got killed by Jacksonville. They were never even competitive in the game. Well,
They
jumped out to a 10-0 lead, then gave up like 32 straight points.
And then they got I think they got. Remember, they went for 2. It was the whole.
They were never within a touchdown in the second half.
They went for 2 down 9 and didn't get it. Yeah.
The Rams game, they never tied the game. They were chasing at the end, and he had a chance to steal it and threw a pick. I think he might have been thinking about the Tennessee game that they tied.
Right.
Which I talked about a little earlier. I do think there's something to the fact that when you're asked to do as much as he was asked to do last year, I think it's hard when you get in those situations where you feel like you have to do it all.
Yeah.
It's a little different. Like, think about Justin Herbert. If we were the fan base with him right now, like that to me would be everything.
That's a question
we know
for
he
him.
can do it all. He didn't throw the ball. He didn't turn the ball over barely at all last year. But just can he win the big one? You've got an opportunity in Arrowhead to knock off Patrick Mahomes.
He
at
won
home,
a lot more games as a rookie than Drake May did. And those questions persist for Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert is the biggest juxtaposition between film Twitter and narrative Twitter. Film Twitter is obsessed with Justin Herbert. The throws that he makes are just unbelievable. But then narrative Twitter, like Paul shows, are like, the guy can't win, he stinks. Right? And it's just so funny to see.
I really like Justin Herbert. I don't think that those criticisms are unfair. He has not won as much as he should.
Yeah, I mean, he threw a 20-yard out in the game the other night that's going around film Twitter. That's just a rocket.
It's going around the dark web.
It's just and you're just you're like, holy crap, this guy can throw and make any throw.
You just picture, Evan Zilk out there in their basements in their underwears and their tighty whities just watching this stuff.
The film thing goes up. But it's such an interesting way to analyze quarterbacks because a guy like Justin Herbert and Drake May, they have all the intangibles. And someone like Mac Jones, who didn't have all the intangibles, but someone like me still held out hope that, well, if he could just not make the killer mistake, and then at the end, you kick in, you make the throws then. But even then, you were still always knew he would be limited in a way. And that's why for guys like Drake eventually maybe, and Justin Herbert more and more so, they have everything they need. They have all those intangibles. So you're left wondering, like, well, what else? What more frontiers are there to conquer? That's the one. You just got to win games.
Yeah. Let's get back to the phones. Eldred's in North Carolina. What's up, Eldred?
Oh,
hey,
big one. Work hard, pile up.
Hey, Mike. That game, the coach was mic'd up and he was talking noise. He did say that, and he was calling plays. If that quarterback had hit, they would have whooped us, but he did. And getting back to Maye, we're gonna defend him a little bit. He's a quarterback for our team, but he's young. You got to give him a little bit. He didn't show that killer in North Carolina, but I think he was younger then. So I think Josh could bring it out of not this year, maybe next year.
Okay.
That's what I'm hoping for.
All right.
Have a good one.
All right, thanks, Eldred.
Thanks, Big E.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think we've seen enough opportunities for him to show us whether or not he's got that killer instinct. So the jury's out.
Yeah.
Let's just get him doing the regular things consistently well before we start worrying about can he put them over the top.
Yeah, and I think it's a thing you can develop. I mean, Paul talks about Tom Brady in his third start, but I mean, Tom Brady relentlessly preparing for a year and a half, felt ready to take advantage of. Could we say that Drake Maye has ever been as prepared as Tom Brady was in his third start. I don't think he's been that. He hasn't had the coaching. He hasn't had the experience yet.
Even big games in college. I mean, I know with famously Brady split time with Drew Henson, but he had some amazing games at Michigan.
Yeah, Orange Bowl, right?
Yeah. So those were clutch.
But I think that the more the better reason to make fun of my Brady comparison is he's Tom freaking Brady.
Right.
Like
there's a statue.
Right. There's a reason that we unveiled a statue 2 weeks ago. He's the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, there's no reason why Drake Maye shouldn't be as prepared as Tom Brady was in the middle of, in his second year. Why? But
coaching.
Brady is unbelievable.
Right.
Why does coaching prevent you from preparing?
Year. Because you're not getting the right info. I mean, you're not getting the.
You don't think they got good info
last year?
Like the info was the problem.
Well, part of the problem, yeah, I would say that Tom Brady with Bill Belichick was getting better info than Drake Maye was getting last year with Alex Van Pelt. And I mean, I'm not trying to say it's all about that. I'm not
saying I don't know that Drake Maye is unprepared. I'm not saying that, but I wouldn't blame that on Alex Van Pelt. I mean, now, is Alex Van Pelt as good as Bill Belichick? No.
Yeah.
Fair argument by Deuce.
But I mean,
Bill Belichick greater than Alex Van Pelt.
Well, the point, though, I was really trying to get at was just that, Brady's special. And yes, probably a lot of his early success was just innate. But I don't think that's it. You're either clutch or you're not. And you know what I mean? Like, you can get to that point. But
I kind of think you are. Yeah. I'm not saying that he's not. I'm not saying that Drake Maye is not. I'm saying that we don't know because we haven't got the information. But I kind of think you have that or you don't.
It's a good question.
I think it's in your
blood.
blood.
Just get him to be able to read cover 2 before we start worrying about how clutch he is.
Why do you not want to have any nonsensical abstract discussions?
We're putting the cart well before the horse.
See, but
he's got to be able to hit the open receivers before we worry about if he's going to.
I'm going to answer my own question. You know why? Because you're an analytical sort of guy, and you don't believe in it. You don't believe in it. You guys have told me millions of times that there's no difference between a ninth inning at bat and a second inning at bat. Clutch doesn't exist. And I would just argue that you don't have to have the last drive of the game be the only clutch drive of the game. You can be clutch putting a game away in the second quarter. You can have that killer that Fred's talking about, that killer can manifest in a myriad of ways.
Yeah, third and long, like
during a game. It doesn't have to be close and late.
Gotta have it, please.
Gotta have it, please.
I guess it's not that I don't believe in it, but I just look at it differently.
But you admit that your ilk does not believe in it.
I admit that, and I would say that, to me, it's just like Brady was clutch because he was so consistent, and he just every time he made the right decision with the ball, and he was. But
he made the right decision because he was clutch
when he had to.
But he did that in the first quarter and he did that in the fourth quarter.
No, and I hear what you're saying.
We need to get Drake to do that consistently. Period. Before we.
I'll give you.
And forget about Drake. Yeah. Any player. Let's not say this is all about Drake. If you don't have the fundamentals down, I get it. It's tough to be clutch because the game is going too fast.
And it just unravels on you.
But when you're clutch, the game slows down because you understand what's going around you. You recognize it, you process it faster, and then you can execute.
And that's when you're Joe Montana pointing out John Candy in the crowd.
I agree with what you're saying, but Brady was doing that on the first drive, and he's doing that on the last drive.
I get it. I get it.
He was maniacally consistent.
I get it.
He was, and that's what separated him. But he also had periods of bad play in games, but never when it counted.
Yeah.
Never when he had to have a drive.
Well.
Does Barth believe in clutch kickers?
Barth believes
for 14.
So much in clutch that it pains me. I just look at it.
See, I'm a big believer in clutch. I really am.
It's I find it fascinating just because, like I said, I think that's what is the biggest ingredient for greatness. There are a lot of guys who are tall and can throw the ball a mile and can run really good, but the guys who do it
in that league, every game is decided in the fourth quarter.
I know I'm going to bring up 3 players who should have statues. Mm-hmm. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird. But
game on the line, who do you want taking the shot?
They were animals. Uh-huh. They were killers. Mm-hmm. They were killers.
Ev, who would you least out of that 3 like to have taken the last shot?
Kobe.
No question.
But at the same time, you just named the greatest basketball player of all time.
But why?
A 5-time NBA champion.
But why were they so great? Because
they were damn good.
They were damn good, but they were so damn good because part of the reason they were so damn good was their mentality. They just freaking hated to lose.
I agree with that.
No, I agree with that too.
Everyone sucks but me.
I think
agree with that.
That's a good thing to bring up, Fred. Like, because that's a Brady thing. Like these guys who are so competitive, it's annoying. And I wonder across the NFL if all quarterbacks are like that, or only like the truly. Because I think most NFL players are almost annoyingly competitive. But Brady, like, can we just play ping pong, Tom, without you storming out because you lost a point? You like that kind of guy. It's another fascinating part of this whole clutch story because I feel like that competitiveness. But again, like in the NFL, everybody's competitive, but guys like Brady are even more.
I think
Kobe.
There's levels.
I don't think that there's a lot of guys in today's NFL that are like Brady. I think Mahomes is the closest one, but I think that for Mahomes developed. Like, I think Mahomes is that now. I don't think that Mahomes was that. I think Mahomes was just awesome. Like, I don't think Mahomes, when he lost to Brady in the AFC Championship game, was the thing that we're describing. I think he was just damn good. Like, now I think he's more like that. But we just talked about Justin Herbert. I don't know if Lamar Jackson's like that. I don't know if Josh Allen's like that.
I think Josh Allen has it, but I definitely think that the Justin Herbert thing that we're talking about, he doesn't. And I really like Justin Herbert a lot. But I don't think it bothers him the way it would bother Brady to lose a game.
And we're talking about, those three guys, Lamar, Allen, Herbert, along with Mahomes. Like, that's probably, in Burrow, are probably the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. Yeah. And 3 out of 5 of them, at least. I think Burrow probably has a little bit more.
Burrow has it, no question.
Yeah.
I believe that.
But, like, I don't know if those guys exist as much as they
I like
used
your
to.
Lamar Jackson and Herbert.
Yeah.
Because I think those two guys, Allen needs to be in that conversation too. I just feel like I've seen Allen bring his team back enough to know that, like, sometimes you can lose and be as clutch as you can possibly be, like that divisional round game a few years ago when 3 times in the last 2 minutes he's scoring touchdowns and he still lost the game.
And those guys all lose to Patrick Mahomes, just like, Phillip Rivers, who, how competitive was he? Couldn't get past Tom Brady, in a game that counted. No, it's interesting.
So, it's that combination of the mentality to want it and the skill to be able to do it. And
to get the guys around you up to that level.
When you have both, you become great.
Yeah. I just think that the skill has to come before the clutch.
Well, okay, that's fine.
He has the skill.
But
he has the skill. I don't know if he has the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah. That's
and that's what that's the
where
whole
we are.
point.
And that's where we are.
And you know that I'm talking this much about clutch is making me tweak over here, and you know it.
Your dad's a car guy.
You don't believe in it.
But there is that special it that you can't quantify.
Is this like momentum? Clutch and momentum, those are two things that kind of go hand in hand. Momentum.
It was
like a lot of people will tell you there's no such
Patriots,
thing. Momentum is only as good as the next day's starting pitcher. Like, no, sorry. When the Red Sox won 10 in a row, momentum had something to do with that.
Yeah.
And they've really been, not current stretch notwithstanding, they've been pretty good since.
You just brought up a game last year in Jacksonville in London where the Patriots were winning that game 10-0. And it felt like they were going to win that game going away.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, Jacksonville scored 30 straight points and ran the ball 17 times down the Patriots' throats and won the game. But so that's my side of the street would say, well, where's the momentum there?
Well,
it was a little early in the game. They definitely had the momentum after the first quarter, and then you turn the momentum around by throwing a bomb to Brian Thomas over Gonzo.
Good player.
Now we flipped the momentum.
You can flip momentum pretty quick, but I don't know how easy it is.
So here's the thing, what I'm talking about. This is kind of what I meant, like it doesn't have to be late and clutch. If that was the 2004 Patriots, who started off 10-0, and then they hit them with a haymaker or a bomb, and all of a sudden it's 10-7, Tom Brady goes back on the field. That's a big drive. Momentum just changed. They have momentum now. Even though we're winning, they have momentum now. That's a clutch drive. Tom Brady goes down the field and says, now you can leave.
17-7.
This game's over again. It's 17-7. I look at Fred and say, that's game.
Did it not?
Right?
It's true. It's true.
How many times do we do it?
Right.
How many times do we Again,
I was
it's
there.
Tom
I know.
Brady. It's Tom Brady. It's the greatest of all time. But that, to me, is a clutch drive. It was the second quarter, meaningless. The Patriots went 3-0. Now, that's what happens when you're a losing team, too. I mean, the Patriots were 14-2, the best team in football, had won 2 titles.
Yeah.
Well, there's a huge difference here. We're talking apples and grapefruits.
Well, that's where I was going to go, is that even though you're up 10-0 in the game, the overall momentum of the season is like in the gutter. And the second you get a little blip and then
as soon as the other team gets a little pushback, we're looking at pack our tents up and go home and leave because we're ready to lose because that's what we've done all year.
I just send us home.
I can already kind of see this happening with Drake Maye, and I see it happen all the time with my guy Jason Tatum. Get better. And like these modern athletes, like I don't know if they're wired like that.
Yeah. Does it bother them as much as it bothers the fans when they
and it absolutely drives people here in this market crazy because we are wired like that from all of our sports fandoms when we were growing up and stuff. And I don't know if this generation of athlete is like that. And Tatum gets dragged for it all the time. That he's not clutch enough. He doesn't make the final shot. He doesn't this. He doesn't that. And yet he's a top 5 player in the league and an NBA champion.
Right. So you can be great,
right,
but not the greatest.
You had to do that, didn't you?
Wow. But that's true. That's what.
Because I don't think anybody would argue that Jason Tatum's not a great basketball player.
Right. But when we talk about Jason Tatum, and I feel us going in this direction with Drake Maye, that we're going to talk. Well, he's got all the talent in the world. He's unbelievable.
System quarterback.
You just don't feel great about it at the end of games, and that's the Tatum treatment. And so it's just like, is that maybe we just need to adjust.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if we're going to see Brady, Ortiz, Bird, like those types of maniacal
to your point,
killers.
maybe he gets to the point where he's playing so well and so productive that the end of the game isn't as important.
That's
because they have the lead in these games and they don't need him to be.
No, I will. I will forever believe it's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Well, I definitely think. I think you can actually see it sometimes. You can see guys visibly playing differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe they
Brady
just
in
play
overtime.
the same.
Scatterboo.
And everybody else chokes.
It's clutch.
That's how I look at it. I think Brady stays the same.
Yeah.
And I think everybody else shrinks.
Yeah.
Because the moment's too big for them. Whereas he plays the exact same way when it's the Super Bowl.
But that's
the game's
part
on
of being
the line.
clutch.
Yeah. Like again, I hate
treating
to go,
that at bat the same. David Ortiz.
I hate to always lean on the greatest, but when you watch that Celtic City documentary, Larry Bird comes out and says at the end of the game, I want the ball because I worked harder than everybody else, and I know I did.
I hated that line though. I remember that when he said that.
I know, but like that's the way he felt. Like I put in more work than all these other guys. I want the ball. And we know that.
That's back how we started this whole thing when Deuce said, he was more prepared.
Yeah, right. And, we know how he felt about McHale. About McHale's talent was maybe more than Bird's, and Bird thought, he didn't always give 100,
I think
it's true.
Doesn't mean he was right, though.
It doesn't mean he was right, but that's how he felt, and because he was a maniac.
That bothered me.
He was a maniac.
One of the few things about Bird that bothered me.
Yeah.
I just look at all of the Boston athletes that are this generation, Tatum, even David Pastrnak with the Bruins, and now I feel like it's starting to happen with Drake Maye, and we all just might need to let go of the athletes that literally the killers.
No,
the
I can't do it.
The Jordans. The Birds.
Well, I'll give you one F that I think is unfair,
anymore.
and it happens on my shows all the time, especially with Mike and Tony. It's like this whole notion that you stink if you don't win titles.
Right.
Like that's not the only gauge of a great player. Not everybody can win the championship every year, and I just feel like there's too much of that now. What's he ever won? Oh, okay. He never won it all, so I guess I can't say that he was a really good player.
And it's hard here.
We're spoiled. I mean,
right, the bar
back
is
in the day,
but that's my point.
Ted Williams was one of the greatest, but he never won anything. But we were okay with that because we had never won anything. Now it's all different.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just think this era is different in general, not just around here, but that's the way we look at these athletes. Or you can only be so good if you've never won it all. And
it's another reason why I kind of like Mike Vrabel, because
sports.
I think he has that kind of mentality that hates to lose and makes him sick, and hopefully that disseminates itself into the team's personality that they will match that.
Parcells said, losing, you kind of throw up in your mouth, you just can't.
Someone said losing feels worse than winning feels good. That always spoke to me so much.
I think sometimes that's true.
I think a lot of people feel that.
Yeah.
Winning feels like you just checked a box and did what you were supposed to do.
Especially when you're the guy that looked at the third strike in the All-Star game.
Oh, Freddie. It's okay, Freddie.
I'll never get over it.
Poor Fred.
Get the bat off your shoulder.
Well, you were in the All-Star game.
Right, he got there.
I got my participation trophy.
Oh.
Yeah.
The scouts were like, nah, not this guy. He
Right.
got it. He ain't clutch.
All right, let's wrap up some
Anybody
of these
but
phone
him.
calls. Christian's in L.A. What nonsense today?
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Hey, first of all, let me clap back at Mr. Kyle from L.A. It's Christian in L.A., not Christian from L.A. I never claimed to be from L.A. I'm from the East Coast, so get your shit right.
Fair enough. That's true. You've never claimed to be from L.A. Yep.
No, I'm from the East Coast, like everybody knows. Secondly, I was going to kind of get after you guys for coddling Drake Maye, but you guys have had some really adequate criticism of him.
All right.
The only thing I would add is his attitude seems to be really nonchalant. You know, even the way he answers questions, before he answers, he just doesn't seem to have that sense of urgency to, like, prove something. And I don't know if it's Josh at practice or something that's holding him back from cutting it loose at practice, but I'm not hearing you guys talk about him making these great throws at practice or really going downfield and trying to really cut it loose in the practice stuff. I don't know if he's just supposed to turn it on when the season starts, but I'm kind of amiss there. And lastly, Trey Hendrickson and Micah Parsons are officially really now on the market. I'm thinking that Elliott Wolf, if I saw him say on SportsCenter, saying he's going to go after him. Do you guys think something like Anthony Jennings, Kyle Duggar, and a third could get Hendrickson?
No.
And then just straight out a first-round pick for Micah Parsons. Thank you, guys. I'll take off the air.
All right, thanks. Yeah, we talked about that on the top of the show.
Neither one of those.
The Bengals want a first-round pick, and I don't think those two guys make up for not getting a first-round pick.
We were talking about this out of practice, like this throwing Anthony Jennings and Kyle Duggar into these trades. Like, these are the players the Patriots don't want. So now the Bengals,
the 4-13 Patriots
Right,
don't
now-
have a home for you, and that's going to get you
and
Trey
that's-
Hendrickson.
No, I think for Trey Hendrickson, like, could you maybe get him for like Keon White and some draft capital? Like, maybe.
I threw out your Marcus Jones too earlier. I was
Yeah,
talking about our
maybe.
conversation about just throwing
I mean,
random
that
guys
Bengals
out there.
defense is-
Guys
The
that
Bengals
actually have
secondary
some-
was really bad last year. Maybe they like Marcus Jones.
But some value.
And you know, I want to get to Willem and Phillum.
And one first-round pick from Micah Parsons isn't going to get it done
but
either.
I was thinking, you know, what the thing I was posing when it comes to Hendrickson is, who are you going to, if you give up that first-round pick, who are you going to get that's going to be better for the next 4 years?
I think he's already over 30, right?
Right.
So,
Henderson?
Oh, yeah. I think he is 30.
Yeah, but no, I'm not worried so much about the draft pick. I think you're going to have to give up a much better player than Duggar or Anthony Jennings.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Like, I think
But I
Keon
am worried
White
about the
really-
draft pick. I mean, we're going to need draft picks. We're still a building team. So,
But you could probably get him for a first if you wanted to do that. You wouldn't have to worry about the
yeah.
veterans.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, we want to give up the veterans that we don't want.
Right.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Right?
So, okay. So you would give up a first, Evan?
For Hendrickson, no.
Yeah.
No.
I don't think I would because I don't think they're close enough to make that trade.
I would give up a second and Keon.
Yeah.
Sorry, Keon.
If you knew that your first was going to be lower half of the first round because Hendrickson gives you 11 wins this year, would you do it?
Oh,
Well-
if I thought I was going to win 11 games, then I would make the deal for a first-round pick.
I feel like that's sort of where I'm coming from with not caring about the pick as much, because they're not a Hendrickson away from winning the Super Bowl, but they might be a Trey Hendrickson away from being a playoff team. And then you're talking about 9, 10, 11 wins,
Right.
and you're not picking
Oh.
in the top 10.
Then I'm in.
Okay.
If you guys think that Trey Hendrickson makes them an 11-win team, I'm in.
Okay.
I mean, most people are picking them to be above 500
Well,
without it.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just saying.
All right, Willem and Phillum, you've held on patiently. Thanks for doing that. What's up?
No, not a problem, sir. How you doing?
Good.
Okay. What's going on, fellas? How y'all feel?
We're doing all right. How you doing?
Okay. I'm off today, so I got time to talk just for a second. I know because y'all about to be off the air. Evan, you can keep look, I get the hype about Ism and all that, and Chisum and all. Yeah, he gets open. He might be familiar with Josh McDaniel's scheme and all that, so I can see where that benefits him at. But you know what I wanted to see? I wanted to see Kyle Williams. But unfortunately, Dobbs just crushed my goddamn dream when you sent him into that play and got his head knocked off. God damn.
All right. I hear you.
That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say, fellas.
All right.
Take care, man.
Thanks, William.
All right, now.
All right.
It was disappointing because I thought Kyle
I might have to
Williams
watch
was,
that play.
Yeah, you
The
should.
way you guys are describing that
you
play.
make you mad.
You should.
And I thought that he was building
some others.
momentum.
Right, right.
Like I thought he was getting open, and
Yeah.
the ball was actually finding him, and I think he was going to have a pretty good game. And then,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep. That is it. That's the frustrating thing about football is injuries.
It is, and I think he's such an X factor for this offense. If it's able to click for him and mesh him into that passing offense, he could make a real difference for them.
All right, listen. I thought it was a lively discussion, especially when we got to the clutch part.
Yeah.
We determined that Evan is all washed up when it comes to that discussion.
yes.
You don't know what clutch is.
Let's just get let's build.
Let's get the
I'm only
routine
kidding.
stuff.
I'm
Let's
only
get the
kidding.
routine stuff
Baby
down.
I'm only kidding.
Could you drive a car with a clutch?
Yeah, I can
okay.
actually.
Oh, good
which
for
is
you.
which is
That's
rare.
more than
I
most
could.
people your age.
Yeah,
I've never tried.
No.
You never?
Oh,
Oh, that's how I learned.
Yeah, me too.
It's a rare thing for somebody my age to
Yeah.
be able to do that.
Absolutely, it is. Good for you. All right,
Do they still make those?
clutch.
Yeah, sure.
Yes,
But
the
a lot of them are
sports cars.
a lot of them are
Manuals.
paddle shifters.
Oh.
Yeah.
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 All right, that's going to be it for this edition of Patriots Unfiltered. We're going to be in, I'm going to be in
New
New
Jersey.
Jersey on Thursday. So you
Meadowlands.
guys are going to hold down the fort.
We'll do
Yeah.
the pregame show at
6:45. 6:45.
6:45.
Okay.
Hot hour. One hot hour.
And Claudia will be back.
Claudia will be
Claudia
back.
will be
so
back.
she'll be back in my seat.
Yeah.
She will.
So look forward to that. All right. Thanks for listening. I will see you next week. These guys will see you on Thursday.
Hey, this is Deuce. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you really want to help us, make sure you like us wherever you get your podcasts, like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, make sure you follow us on the New England Patriots YouTube channel to see this show and everything else that we do here at the Patriots. Thanks a lot.